Hello, everyone. Can you see me and hear me? Thumbs up? Okay, wonderful. Dear friends, good morning. Welcome, everyone, to our first day together. Even though our retreat hasn't officially started, but the practice doesn't need to begin when a retreat begins. We can already start right here and right now. Let me invite all of you to practice some mindful breathing before I have a sharing about the spirit of our retreat, as well as how we can practice at home and still be in the spirit of the retreat that is happening in Plum Village. I hope we all had the opportunity to also listen to the other recordings and videos of how to sit, how to walk, and how to prepare our space. So I would like to invite all of us to just become aware of our body, whether we are sitting on the ground, on a cushion, or on our sofa, on a chair. Just allow ourselves to sink into the body. There's really nothing for us to do right now. Just allow us to become aware of our posture, our knees, our feet, our bottom on the cushion, on the chair. Becoming aware of our posture. Allow ourselves to sit a little bit upright, but not rigid, allowing us to relax our shoulders, our back. If there's any tension in our arms, in our fist, just release it. There's nothing for us to hold on to right now. Allowing ourselves to now become aware of our face. If there's any tension within our face, offer a smile. Smiling helps release the muscles, the tenseness in our face, our forehead. And now become aware of our in-breath and our out-breath that is happening very naturally, using our awareness to recognize, this is in-breath and this is out-breath. As it is manifesting, this is just simply say this is in-breath and this is out-breath. We call this mindfulness of breathing. Aware of my in-breath, I breathe in. Aware of my out-breath, I breathe out. In-breath, out-breath. As we have identified our breathing, if it is deep, let it be deep. If it is short, allow it to be short. We don't have to force our breathing, just recognizing it and staying with it. And now let us dwell in our in-breath and our out-breath. Breathing in, I stay with my in-breath from the beginning to the end. Breathing out, I allow myself to take refuge in my out-breath from the beginning This in breath, being with it, out breath, taking refuge in it. As we breathe in, our breath may have become deeper. As we breathe out with mindfulness, our out breath have become more slower. Enjoy that deep in breath. Enjoy that calm and slow out breath. In, deep, out, slow. If our mind wanders to the past, wanders to the future, or is in our thinking, in a thought, just gently allow your awareness to say, let me take refuge in my in-breath and my out-breath, and guide the mind home to the body. In, there is life inside of me. What a miracle it is to breathe, to be alive. Out, there is life around me. The sunshine, the trees, the sound of people, the sound of birds, all part of life. With mindfulness, I can be in touch with life all around me. Breathing in, there is life inside of me. Breathing out, there is life all around me. Breathing in, I smile to life inside of me. Breathing out, I smile to life all around me. Thank you, dear friends, for practicing mindful breathing. I hope that allowed you to arrive to your body, arrive to the present moment, to where you are in your home. Today is September the 5th in the year 2021, and today is opening talk by myself. Hello everyone, I am Brother Pháp Hữu. I am the abbot of the Upper Hamlet community in Plum Village. I've been a monk now for almost 20 years, going on 20 years, and I've had the wonderful opportunity to also be Thai's assistant, attendant for many of my years, especially from the beginning, being close to him and supporting him throughout all of the retreats that he has offered, and assisting him in building and supporting this community. And everything that we are doing today is like a continuation of um, of his um, legacy. And that is why this retreat, particularly, we are calling it the gem of the Plum Village tradition, because next year, 2022, will be Plum Village 40th year anniversary. So we will be celebrating. Sorry, the tech team is saying to make the volume a little louder. How about now? It's okay? Okay. So this coming year will be the anniversary of our tradition, our community, and to celebrate our manifestation, we will be looking at some of the core teachings and the core sutras that we recite every day, every year, every month, every sessions of chanting that we have within our monastery. But we'll be taking a little bit of a deeper dive into it so that we can understand the core of each sutra. And what is important in our tradition, though, is that the teachings of the Buddha and the teachings of the Dharma has to be applied into our daily life. We don't learn the Dharma, we don't learn the Sutra to just have an intellectual knowledge of what the Buddha said thousands of years ago, or what our teacher have shared with us years ago. But we always have to ask ourselves, how can I apply this in my own daily life? And this is very important because this is the tradition of Plum Village, which is engaged Buddhism, applied Buddhism. Xem làm như vậy họ sẽ thấy. Okay. What's going on? Okay, here. Okay. Okay. Maybe a cushion. Technical difficulty. Please breathe with me. Here, maybe one more, sir. Maybe one more. Okay. Is it better now? Yeah? It's okay? Okay. We have time, no rush, right? We don't have to hurry. Okay. So even though in our Dharma talks that we will have the opportunity to listen, especially on the Sundays, we will be going through sutras, but we always have to put on the lens and put on the awareness and see how can we put these teachings of the Buddha into our daily life. And this will be the meditation that we all have, and that we all have to ask ourselves, how can these teachings support me in my understanding of my own well-being, my own suffering, and my own happiness? So this is the spirit that we would like to learn the Dharma. We listen to the teachings. And when we listen to a teaching, we also want to have openness, right? So when we have openness, it allows us to maybe touch something deep inside of us, because all of us, we have many, many wonderful seeds that are alive in us. But we just need the right condition for these seeds to manifest. We have seeds of mindfulness. Everyone has this, whether we are Buddhist or not Buddhist, whether we are new to the practice or we are a beginner. It lies deep inside of us. The moment that we become aware of our breathing, we are aware of what is happening inside of us. We are aware of what is happening around us. We have mindfulness. This is spirituality in the present moment. And so each and every one of us has a spiritual dimension in us. And when we allow ourselves to enter into a retreat and allow ourselves to be in a retreat in our own home, physically, but also our home inside of us, we allow our spiritual dimension to manifest. And for some of us, it can be maybe challenging, but have trust and have faith and have confidence in yourself. Our spiritual dimension can be more limited at the beginning, but as we progress in the retreat and as we allow ourselves to practice with the community globally through sitting meditation, through total relaxation, through listening to a sharing, to walking meditation. Each of these activities that we have put together for us to practice are all activities to enhance our spiritual dimension. And the spiritual dimension is mobile. You can take it wherever you go. It is much easier, though, to practice when we are still, because all of us are probably more active, and we are maybe easier to be carried away in our daily life. I know that a lot of us will still have to work throughout the week, but that mindfulness of breathing is always there with you. One thing that I learned when I was a young novice is to become a close friend to my breathing. Because as long as we are alive, we are breathing. And as long as we are breathing, that breath is our key to our seed of mindfulness inside of us. And that mindfulness will allow us to be with ourselves, to allow our mind to have an anchor, our emotions, our feelings to have an anchor. Instead of being overwhelmed by it, we can always come back to that breath, because that breath is with us at every moment. But it's because we are not aware of the breathing and it is just happening. But the moment you bring awareness to that breathing, you are allowing that breath to come home to your body. And at that very moment, you are guiding your mind home to the breath, into the body. This is very basic, but this is very deep. And if you can do this, your spiritual dimension, your paradise of the present moment will always be available for you. This is very important. The first Dharma seal in our tradition, in the Plum Village practice, it is one of our beautiful gem. It is two lines. It is, I have arrived and I am home. And this two line, I have arrived and I am home, is an insight. It's a fruit of a teaching and a fruit of meditation from our teacher. Our teacher, Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh, who we call Thai. Whenever you hear us refer to our teacher, we will refer to our teacher as Thai. Thầy is a Vietnamese term of teacher. And our teacher, Thầy, he grew up and became a monk during the time of war in Vietnam. And he met many difficulties and many obstacles. You can imagine the suffering all around, the violence, the fear, the discrimination. But through all of this, he was able to cultivate the practice and always ask himself, even in chaos, how can I, as a monk, still find peace and still contribute to my community? As a practitioner, I choose the path of nonviolent. So I will not take up arms to join the war. But as a spiritual practitioner, I am still a part of society also. I still am part of this community. I have something to offer. And that is my understanding, my love, my compassion. And at that moment, what was very important was peace. And peace begins from inside. And through his journey and his, especially during the American War or the Vietnam War, Thầy went to America to call for peace and to bring mindfulness, awareness to what is really happening and the destruction of the war, to bring awareness to the suffering. And through this action, Thầy was exiled from Vietnam. And he used to share with us that when he heard this news, it was very difficult to know that now I cannot return home. All of my family, my friends, my community, they were all in Vietnam. And suddenly now I see myself in the West, in America, all alone. And Thầy explained to us as it was like a cell of a big body, which is his community, that was removed from the body. And now it felt very, very lonely. But lucky that he didn't allow himself to be lost in despair and lost in the fear. But he took refuge in his breathing and his mindful steps. And he practiced to handle and to take care of these emotions and these feelings. And in the present moment, he still was able to recognize that I am not in Vietnam, but here I can still breathe. I still have an opportunity to cultivate my spiritual dimension. And I can still create a new community. I can create a new Sangha, a new group of people who would like to practice and develop our compassion and our understanding. And this is where this insight, I have arrived. Because wherever I am, I can still arrive. Because with my in-breath, with my out-breath, with my mindfulness, I can still arrive in the present moment. And if I am in the present moment, and I am not carried away by my fear, my anxiety, my suffering, and I can have peace, even though it is not perfect. But there is enough stability and there is enough peace, then that present moment can be my home. So this two gata, there's two lines, very simple. I have arrived and I am home, has become the seal, the first Dharma seal of Plum Village. So all of our practice that we do in our tradition, it allows us to come home. It allows us to be in the present moment. The present moment is where life is happening. The three times, the past, the present, and the future, they all interbe, they all link to each other. A lot of us may live more in the future, or some of us may live more in the past, or some of us will live in our thinking, in our procrastination, our fear, in the present moment. But our practice is to dwell in the present moment fully with body and mind. And when we can be in the present moment, we can really truly be alive, because life is always present. But it is us that is not present for life. So our practice is still to arrive in each moment. I have arrived, I am home. Each in-breath and out-breath is an opportunity for us to arrive. Each time we sit together is an opportunity to arrive, to be at home in ourselves. Because if we can be at home in ourselves, then wherever we are, we can be comfortable, we can be solid in that situation. And I feel that this is very relevant for all of us who still will be going to work, will be going to school, wherever we may find ourselves within the week. Know that we will be in a spirit of the 90 days. So if we feel that we are lost, we are somewhere else, just know that we have a channel into our spiritual dimension. And that is, first of all, the mindful breathing. And at these moments, we can just channel ourselves within. It may help to find a space of stillness, put our hand on our abdomen, and just to feel the breath and allow the breath to guide us home to the body, home to the present moment. Or just be still and just to mentally say in breath and out breath. And just that action, we call it mindfulness of the breath or mindfulness of the moment, allowing us to come back to the present. In Plum Village, we have practices to remind all of us that to come back to the present moment. Even us who become monks and nuns in this life, and we devote ourselves to this path, but still we need reminders. We are not yet also capable of always being in the present moment. And being in the present moment, it allows us to touch awakening, or we can call it enlightenment. And enlightenment is not a destination that is far away. We may have the perception that we need to practice 10 years, 20 years, or 80 years, and then we reach enlightenment. But actually, what we have discovered and understood, that enlightenment is always enlightenment of something. You have to be awake from something. You have to be aware of something. And if we cannot be awake and aware of the simple things, then it'll be very difficult to be awake from the more difficult things. So just to be aware of the breath is the first step, which will allow us to have insight into what is happening in the present moment. And so in our monastery, we have a rule that whenever we hear the sound of a bell, whether it is a temple bell, a monastery bell, or a church bell, or even in our dining hall, we have a clock and it chimes every 15 minutes. And every time that clock chimes, everyone in the community have to pause and have to come back to their breathing and to enjoy that breath. And it allows us to breathe in and out deeply, at least 3 deep in and out breaths. And this has become a tradition. It has become a gem in our community. And even our teacher, Tai, whenever he was walking or doing anything, even when he hears the sound of the bell, it's like the voice of awakening inside of us, telling us to take a pause. We say the voice of the Buddha telling us to come back to ourselves. So in our tradition, a lot of our activities will always begin with the sound of the bell, and then it will have also sound of the bell in between to make sure that we are not also carried away by even talking and not allowing ourselves to be present. And we will always end with the sound of the bell to conclude our sessions and to allow ourselves to come back to ourselves and also nourish our capacity of being in the present moment. So right now, let me invite one sound of the bell, and it's an invitation for all of us to listen to ourselves, to hear our breathing. The gatha goes like this. I listen. This wonderful sound of the bell brings me back to my true home. So this true home is in the present moment. I would very much encourage us, each and every one of us, to have a sound of the bell in our daily life, at least 3 times in the day. And it can be a physical sound of the bell, or it can be a different sound of the bell. It can be when every time we hear uh, the sound of a bird or something, we say, that is my bell of mindfulness. Or not to advertise, but we do have a Plum Village app, and you can put a sound of the bell in your mobile device, and you can schedule it to sound. And each time that sound of that bell is invited, it is an opportunity for us to come back to our present moment, to our body. And what we can do when we hear the sound of the bell, first of all, just become aware of what you're doing. And you don't have to freeze, you don't have to physically freeze and stop. But that sound of the bell is an invitation for you to really just slow down whatever we are doing, to know that we are alive, to know that we have to take care of ourselves so that we can have a balance of our well-being in our mind and body. So for me, even though I've been a monk for 20 years, I don't go any further than just being in touch with the deep in-breath and out-breath. And sometimes I may need to put my hand on my abdomen. Sometimes I am very caught up also in my mind in some projects, and I can also be very carried away. And when I hear that sound of the bell, I don't allow myself to bypass that practice and saying that, oh, my work is more important, because life is also very important. So we have to allow ourselves to also be alive. And what I noticed, when I am more alive, I can contribute much more, even in the work and in the service that I am doing. So that sound of that bell becomes a gem in our daily life, becomes a friend that helps us come home to our spiritual dimension. So please, dear friends, use our creativity in our own schedule to find what that sound of the bell may be, so that it can invite ourselves to have at least 3 deep in breath and out breath for that moment. So allow that to be our practice through our daily week. The spirit of the Rains Retreat, the tradition of it, Plum Village didn't create it, Thai didn't create it. It comes from the time of the Buddha. So I share a little bit about the history of it. During the Buddha's time, the Buddha and his community of monks and nuns would, throughout the year, travel by foot from villages to villages to spread the teachings, and also to go for alms round. And it's an action of begging for food. So the monks and nuns would go from house to house, and at each house they would stand in front of the house for a few moments of deep in breath and out breath. And if the people see the monks or the nuns and they have something to offer, they would come out and they would put a piece of dal or some curry or whatever it is that they have. And the practice of the monastic is no discrimination. So every house they would go to, and whatever food they receive, it is a blessing. And through this interaction, is also an opportunity for the monastics to have an engagement with the villagers, with the quote unquote normal people, and to have a chance to share the Dharma. So sometimes the people would ask the monastic some questions, how to make their life more meaningful, or a teaching, or to ask for a blessing. Somebody in their family may have passed away. So if the monks and nuns can just do a short ceremony or a chant to help them ease and to grieve. So this tradition from the monks and nuns and from the Buddha's time was to continue to see themselves also as a practitioner, even though we devote our life to high awakening or to understanding of our own suffering, and then to the suffering of the world. And it is not just for us, but we have also the responsibility to go and spread the Dharma. So after the Buddha's enlightenment, the first thing he did, so the cool thing about the Buddha was that he wasn't selfish. So after he became enlightened, he didn't say, all right, I'm done, peace, bye everyone, and he just take care of himself. But as a teacher, he felt that he wants to also spread the fruit of his practice to first of all his friends that he have met on the spiritual path. So he started right away to create a community of practice. And this community, through the years, grew in rapid numbers of monks and nuns. And then slowly they had monasteries, and they would still travel throughout the years to spread the Dharma. But then the Buddha and his community started to notice that, especially during the rainy season, back then they didn't have roads like we have today, and sometimes they would have to walk past the rice fields or through the forest. And during the rainy season, the journeys become much more difficult for the monks and the nuns, and people, the monks and the nuns would get sick more because of the weather, and also because the insects would manifest more during the rainy season. And while they would walk, they can notice they would stomp on worms or insects. So the Buddha then, with his community, created this tradition for the rainy season. And during that time, it was in India, it was more in the summertime, during that climate. So the Buddha and his community would stay put for 3 months for that rainy season, and now it has become a heritage of the monastic community. And you can find this in all Buddhist tradition, either in the Mahayana's different schools of Zen, or the Pure Land tradition, or even in the Theravada tradition. We all have the rains retreat. And in principle, the tradition is 3 months, but for some places, due to conditions, it can be flexible. And depending on the community, they would see what is most suitable. But for us, we still keep 3 months because it's also a very important time to go inwards. And in the 3 months, during the Buddha's time, they would create a boundary where they would commit themselves to staying put. And so that they wouldn't travel outside of that boundary. And we have the smaller boundary and then the greater boundary, because we sometimes the monastic would still have to go on alms round to beg for food. But sometimes in some monasteries, where in India there was also a huge following by the lay community. So the lay community would know that the monks and nuns are in the 3 month rain retreat. So they would organize among their village, and they would take turn to even bring food to the monastery, so the monks and nuns don't have to go out of their boundary. So this was the spirit. So at that time, every monastic in the whole of India, you also return to a community of practice. So you go to the closest community of practice, where the monks and nuns would gather, and you would commit yourself to 3 months of practicing together. So in that time, some monks and nuns would travel in small groups of 2 or 3 or even 5 or larger to spread the Dharma, or some would be on their own. But during this 3 month, they would return to a bigger Sangha. Sangha means community. To a Maha Sangha, Maha is great. And so to a bigger Sangha to develop the practice together. Because when we come together, the energy of practice becomes more powerful, because we also rely on each other's energy of practice. For us who are young, we may be very enthusiastic and we have a lot of energy, but we can also take refuge in the stability and the calmness of our senior members in the community. And vice versa, our senior members of the community can also get energy from the youth of our young brothers and sisters. And as well as for our beginners in the Dharma, they can take refuge in an energy that has been developed for many years from a community of practice. So slowly, this tradition of the 3 month rains retreat has become also a retreat where it's an opportunity for monks and nuns to deepen their practice together, and also deepen the teachings, because the Buddha would stay in one place. So the Buddha would have a chance to go deeper into his teachings, and then his teachings can then be spread throughout the year. So the tradition of our 3-month retreat also has the purpose for each individual to go inward deeper. Because even when we serve, we have an aspiration to serve, which is very beautiful. But we also have to know how to take care of our well-being to serve. We don't want to lose ourselves also in our service, and to lose ourselves in our work. We burn out. I've seen this in my community also, especially in the years that before the pandemic, when we would host many retreats and go on retreats. And sometimes if we are unskillful, we would give a lot, and it is very beautiful to see the joy and the happiness. But if we are unskillful, we also may lose our own balance inside of us. So this 3 months is also um, an invitation for all of our monks and nuns in our Plum Village tradition to also come home to a community of refuge. It's like birds coming home to the nest, and together take care of each other, deepen our practice, deepen our community, our brotherhood, our sisterhood, our understanding of each other also. So this is also the spirit of staying in one place, because when you have the chance to be put, we have the chance of more stillness to manifest. Because when we're always active, then we can always be caught in also our our service and our state of mind of busyness. And in our times, we know that the stimulation of of um, of the world is not just in our daily life, in our work, but it is alive in the city, just the noise itself, the um, the social media, the television, the news, the music. All of these are also um, noise that can either contribute to our well-being, or it can also make ourselves also further away from our own self. So later on in Plum Village, especially when the internet really boomed, and social media also became very alive, and it started to also enter into the monastery. So Tai, our teacher, also started to teach us that in the 3 months rains retreat, we already know we want to practice to be in the community, in our boundaries physically, but we also have to practice to be in the retreat mentally also. So Tai would encourage all of us even to um, see what kind of external sources that is driving us away from the present moment, and to have a break from it. So Tai encouraged everyone who was on Facebook or on Instagram or whatever social media, if it's not important, take a break. This retreat is a treat for yourself. It's to become more alive, and we know that to become more alive today is so precious. To have the ability to be with ourselves, to contribute ourselves to everyone, is so valuable. That technique of being present is so important. But here we have to be also very open, because all of us are connected through online. So after this, don't disconnect from from us via online, but we have to have moderation, true moderation within our consumption of what we see, what we hear. All of these is in our hands, how we will schedule our day, of how we consume the media, how we consume information. Even conversations are consumption. So please be this is like a homework we usually offer to all the monks and the nuns, like what is our aspiration for this retreat. Yesterday in our community, um, we had a sharing of all the monks. We sat down together and we did a round, and we all share what is our aspiration for 30 days, for 90 days. And I said, be very true, be really honest. What is the one thing that we make sure we want to be able to touch in ourselves in this practice? And a lot of us just said we want to slow down more. Even for myself, I said I want to practice slowing down. I want to go from gear 5 to gear 3. I've recognized that I've been on a more state of mind of busyness, just trying to create or just whatever it is. And I've seen that I started to bypass a lot of even my basic practice, and I just know I just have to take one step back and allow myself to be more present with my steps, with my meals, or with the conversation that I have with my community. And so I see that what the stimulations that I allow myself to have can contribute to the fast-paced thinking that manifests in my mind. So I'm sure each and every one of us probably experienced this also. So please see what are the breaks, what are the diets that we can have for this 90 day. So recognizing, of course, information is very important, but enough information. Don't overstimulate ourselves. Don't over consume so that we lose ourselves. This is an art of moderation also. So please reflect. We have a few days before the 90 days. We begin officially. So reflect what are the consumption by our eyes and our ears that is around us, that we can have a break from, have a diet from, that can nourish ourself in pausing, in stopping. Let us listen to a sound of the bell so that we can continue to nourish our ability of recognizing our breath, allowing ourselves to be in this moment. Our practice is to also see the little joys in our daily life. We have to be able to recognize what are the gems in our daily life. And this practice is to identify that even though the state that we may be in, the state of our planet, the state of our country, the state of our community. I know we are very international today. Some of us are listening from different continents, and in every different continent, we have our own difficulties that is happening around us collectively. And we also have to recognize the suffering, and we also have to recognize how we can support. But in our practice is also how can we nourish our gems, our well-being in this very moment also. So we have to also learn to look at a different angle to see that even though there are storms internally, externally, but there are still beauty in life. And we have to identify them. This is also mindfulness, awareness. And we can start by our daily life. Each day, each week, at least recognize a happy condition that was there for us and that we were present for. What is it? Can we identify it? Can we recognize it? We can jot it down, we can write it into a poem, it can be so simple, but we can directly see that this was a moment of happiness, this was a moment of well-being, this was a moment of joy. And this is an ongoing practice that each and every one of us are still doing today in the village, in Plum Village. And it is so that we don't lose ourselves also in suffering. We will be guided in our practice to recognize our suffering, to recognize our difficulties, but we also have to know how to recognize joy and happiness. And the joy and happiness is not far away from us. Knowing that the sunshine is present, can be a joy. Sometimes Thai would joke with us, every time Thai brushed his teeth, and Thai said, wow, even though I'm 80, all of my teeth are in good condition. And I'm happy that I still have teeth to brush. And Thai said, that is a moment of joy for Thai. So our daily life, our activities in our daily life are also conditions for happiness. Each of these moments in our daily life can be a practice. How we stand, how we walk, how we sit, how we clean our house, how we clean our corner, how we work, all of these are opportunity for the practice to also manifest. So please see what conditions are available for us that the practice can enter into. Don't be too ambitious. Don't say, okay, once I start 90-day, every moment will be mindfulness. It's very beautiful aspiration, but it's going to take more time to develop that. Be very, very diligent in our selection. A lot of the time in a retreat, Thai would encourage our friends when they leave when they leave Plum Village, when they go home, instead of having the conditions to enjoy 1 hour of walking meditation with the community each day, but select a distance, whether it is from the moment you walk out of your door into your bus stop or into a tree, into your car. Those steps will be steps of mindfulness. So you select that period of your day to be a practice. So mindfulness is also an art. Thai says that to practice is to be an artist in our daily life. How to bring mindfulness into our daily life. We are the artist, we are the painter, and we will paint our day so that there are mindfulness that can be present. And together we can select a few practices within the week to solidify it, make that our focus. So for example, I used to do with my mentees, for this week, every time you open and close the door, I want you to open and close the door with mindfulness. Know that you are putting your hand on the handle, know that you're opening, and don't let the door slam. Close the door gently. Each time you open the door, that is your practice. whether it is a toilet door, whether it's your room, whether it is the office, whatever it be, when it's a door, it is your practice. So that is an example. So there are many ways. If we have a plant, each time you plant it, that can be a practice. Each time you prepare a meal, that can be your practice. Each time you brush your teeth and make yourself beautiful for the day, that can be your practice. So we have many activities that we do in the day, make that and cultivate it into a practice. So this way we don't lose ourselves from the spirit of our commitment for 90 days of practice with the community here. And each weekend, I think Friday to Saturday and Sunday, we will have online practices, and you will see it on the Teachable. And those will be moments that we can practice together. But for the other 5 days, please schedule it so that you can have moments of practice within the week. In Plum Village, we have a very special day, very holy day. We call it Lazy Day, and it's a day that we have to learn to let go. We let the day unfold, and we learn to enjoy how it unfolds. That day, we don't have a schedule. We only have the schedule of the meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And in the evening, we come back to sitting together. But in our century, we see that we're always pushing ourselves to do something, to accomplish something. We're always running after something. So it's also very important to learn how to just be. How to just sit, just enjoy sitting for no purpose. Drink a cup of tea, drink a cup of coffee, to just enjoy that cup of tea. Go for a walk, not for a purpose of exercise or whatever, just enjoy that walk. Having this ability to just learn to be in the present moment, learning to be happy, to be alive. And in this practice of the day is also to learn to let go, seeing what we think are priorities may not be the most important thing, but being alive can be the most important thing. So this lazy day, we have once a week in our schedule. It can fit in our weekend. It can be our Saturday or our Sunday, and allow yourself to really not be so ambitious with that day. We always have to remind our brothers and sisters, because suddenly when we have a lazy day, we start to plan that day. This is my day. I'm going to do this, and suddenly that day becomes more busy than the whole week. And so actually, Tai always say, actually the most difficult day of the week is the lazy day. It's the day when we don't have a schedule, because suddenly you want to learn to also to be lazy. And laziness is different from not having aspiration and not having any direction in life. When you can rest, you can heal. We will learn in our retreat to be still. Being still is an ingredient of resting as well as healing and transformation. To be still, we will start to see things more clearer. So this day can also be a day of learning to let the dust settle. That's always my image. I let my week settle. I let my week have a moment to just ease down into the day. And I allow myself to be fresh for the coming 6 days. So this is a beautiful day, a beautiful tradition that I would also like to encourage us to have. it is possible. If once a week may not be possible, once every 2 weeks. So please allow yourself that lazy day. We we will have an opening ceremony day this coming Thursday. And if it fits your schedule and if you're interested, you're welcome to join. We will live stream it. It has a ceremonial aspect, but I will share with you the meaning behind it. So if you join, and if you've never been to any Buddhist ceremony or a ceremony in the Plum Village tradition, it will be a little bit different than maybe some of you have joined our other online retreat throughout the year. It'll be a little bit different than what we offer in those retreats. It has a spirit of ceremony more. So all the monks and nuns, we will be wearing our Sangati. It's a yellow robe. You will see it. It's when we wear it for ceremonies. And the Sangati robes, it represents the field of merit, the field of our practice. Some of the robes, you will see these lines. So it also comes from the Buddha's time. So one day the Buddha was with his attendant, the Venerable Ananda. You've probably heard his name in many sutra. Ananda was the Buddha's close attendant, and he had an incredible memory. So one of his responsibility was to record the teachings of the Buddha and to re-share it so the teaching is not lost. And one day, the Buddha and Ananda were standing on a hill and looking down on the field of the rice paddy. And it was divided into squares or rectangle so that the farmers can walk and buffalo can go through, etc. And so there was many rectangles and squares. And the Buddha sees that the robe of a monk will resemble that. It has this patch robe, so all these squares, all of these rectangles. And the Buddha sees that as a practitioner, we are taking care of our land, our fields within. We have many seeds within us, seeds of compassion, seeds of love, seeds of happiness, aspiration, joy. And we also have seeds of fear, anger, frustration, and all of that is our garden. But we have to learn to tend our garden. So then later on, our robe, the Sangati robe, has another name, the field of merit. So when we monastic, we put on this Sangati, is to remember that we have to take care of our fields of practice, our field of cultivation, our landscape inside and our landscape outside. And in the opening ceremony, we will do an incense offering. We offer our aspiration to the community, to the three jewels. The three jewels is the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And the three jewels is not outside of us. It is really alive in the community and in each and every one of us. And then we will go forth with the ceremony. And the ceremony is called taking refuge, face to face. So like I share in the tradition, all of the monastics, we would come home to our center to practice. And everyone will have a mentor to take refuge in. And so for ourselves, the monastics, each Dharma teacher, we are elder brothers and elder sisters of the community. We will have bhikshu and novices, or bhikshunis and novices on the sister side to take refuge in the Dharma teachers of their hamlets. So you will see at one stage the abbots and abbesses or the representative of the hamlets will all come up, and all of the community will all come up, and we will practice taking refuge in each other. And it goes something like this. The text will be read, but it goes something like this, like for the next 90 days, we will practice, we will live together, and we will take refuge in each other. So if we see or hear anything, please support each other within the 90th day. And it's a commitment that we aspire together to practice in harmony together. And so this will be the opening ceremony. Officially, we begin the 90th day as a whole community. So that will be this coming Thursday. And we know it's a weekday, so it might not be suitable for some of us. But if you are free and you are interested, you may join and to see the opening ceremony for the retreat. Yeah, friends, I think I covered everything that I wanted to share today so that we can begin our journey together, our journey of practicing. Very grateful that so many of you have signed up to join us for the 90-day retreat. And we are so happy to also have this platform in order to connect and to uh, include everyone from around the world with the aspiration to practice and to cultivate these seeds of practice inside of us. And we have a lot of other sources to nourish ourselves within the week. If we we feel we need some more Dharma content to support ourselves for the 90-day. So the Plum Village app is a very wonderful tool. It's for free, and there's many guided meditation, total relaxations, as well as short teachings of our teachers that we have put together to encourage us in our practice, or some sharings from brothers and sisters that if you feel you need some spiritual nourishment, some spiritual food, it's available, our website as well as our YouTube channel. We also have a new podcast, The Way Out is In, conversations of bringing the practice into our daily life. Can be Dharma nourishment that we can have within the week if we feel we need some other extra nourishment. But never forget the spiritual dimension is within us. And Tai used to joke with us. Tai said every time we practice and we're aware, that's our Buddha nature being alive. And so the Buddha was a human being. So all of us have Buddha nature inside of us. But most of the time, we're just part-time Buddha. Only sometimes within the day or within the week, we are Buddhas. And our practice is to become more and more full-time Buddhas. So thank you, dear friends, and I wish you a wonderful journey of practice with us. Thank you for joining me this morning. A lotus to you, and a Buddha to be in each and every one of you. Thank you so much. When we join our palm in our tradition, it is like the practice of bringing body and mind together. And when we want to bow and to greet you, is we greet you with our full presence. So our body and mind fully there. And I know you are there, and I am very happy. Let us listen to 3 sound of the bell so that we can end our session together this morning. So in our tradition, after a session of sitting, Dharma talk, we will hear a small sound of the bell, and that is so that we can undo our legs. Some of us we will be sitting for a long time in some sessions, so make sure that it's not numb before we stand up. So when we hear the small sound of the bell, is to invite us to undo our legs, undo our posture, massage our knees, massage our back, massage our face, especially after sitting meditations when we do it together. and and then we always want to also end together. We will hear the sound of the small bell, then we'll all stand up, and then with the next sound of the bell, we will join our palm, and we will. It's like a moment of thanking everyone's presence for our practice, and we don't take for granted that everyone here is practicing with us, and that's the spirit of it. Thank you, dear friends, and I'll see all of you very soon. If some of you will be joining us on Thursday, and then the next Sunday we'll also have the first live Dhamma talk, and I'll also be offering it. So I'll see everyone back on Thursday and Sunday.